Hey everyone, it's Nick Karadza here again, and as usual today we have props. You know, we're on a theme here, so we want to ruin the theme, so we always have a prop. Today it's a newspaper. There's some big news. It's been all over the newspapers. It started yesterday, and it has to do with the Competition Bureau in Canada and the Canadian Real Estate Association, or the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service that we're used to and a lot of people look up their homes on. So here's the deal. Look, we see the big headline here, Real Estate Shakeup, Competition Bureau probe may change rules. So what they're looking into is they're looking at the accessibility of this MLS system by agents and different brokerages and how people do it and what they charge, right? So, hey, you know, it's a good point. It's a valid point. And I'm probably going to take a lot of slack from this being like a licensed real estate broker. You know, there's probably some people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this. But here's both sides of the story, okay? And the reason we're talking about this is because it impacts investors directly because we buy and sell properties as investors. So this is like #1 impact for us. So here's the first side. I'm not sure if I totally agree, right? I don't have a full understanding of exactly how MLS is structured. Okay, my understanding is it's regulated and owned by the Canadian Real Estate Association. Now, if they've paid to develop this system, this database of properties that advertises these properties across on the internet, across Canada, internationally, well, I think they have some say into how it's used. It kind of makes sense. Like if I went out and developed a system, and then I should be able to use that system how I choose, or let certain people access it, given the guidelines that I set forth. So, in my opinion, that kind of makes sense, right? And the other thing is, like, what's happened is they've just become so big that everyone wants a piece of that pie that everything kind of changes a little bit. So it really throws them under the bus a bit. Now that's one side of the story. Now the other side of the story is that, what we're seeing now is there's a lot of real estate agents, and I'm getting all sorts of letters from these boards saying, hey, here's what's going on with the trademarks of the MLS, and here's what the Canadian Real Estate Association says we should say about this, and maybe we might not comment on this in the media. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on behind the scenes. And so they're panicked because now people can access this MLS, or what the recommendations are for the Canadian Real Estate Association to allow people to access the MLS on different fee structures. So you may not have to pay a certain percentage to sell your home. It may be like a flat fee of $500, $1,000, $2,000, and maybe there's no agent that gets in the middle of offers presented. They're recommending that someone can actually send an offer directly to you, so it's your contact information that's listed on your house. So that's some pretty big changes that are happening, right? So there's a little bit of panic going on in the real estate industry. And now here's the third spin, and this affects us all in anything that happens, is anytime that there's changes, there's always people that resist. There's always a resist to change. The biggest, the most successful people and the biggest opportunities come to the people that embrace that change, that will use it and look at the opportunities and the potential that it gives us, right? The guy holding the camera is making all sorts of funny faces, so it's distracting here. But that's the biggest opportunity. So what we got to look at is, hey, how are we going to be able to use these new rules, if or when they come into place, to benefit us as investors, as agents, as business people, whatever it is. We want to look at those rules. So that's the big hype right now. We're going to hear a lot about these changes coming up. It's going to be all over the media because I think there's a little bit of there's supposed to be a settlement between the Canadian Real Estate Association and the Competition Bureau of Canada, and it's going to be a fun one. That's it for today. Until next time, live your rockstar life, your terms.